Hey everyone, today we're going to talk about the Eisenhower Method. So basically, it's a way to prioritize your tasks. It divides between four different boxes, right, Fernando? So things that you should do, schedule, delegate, or eliminate. So if you want to explain to everyone like a little bit about the method, and then we can explain how to implement this using all the tools that we have here to automate this process. Not only, of course, you could do this with only with tasks, but the way that we did here, it's basically error proof, and it's easier to use than just thinking about if you need to do it or not, if you need to delegate to someone or not. So basically, you answer some questions and you will have your answer automatically, right? Friendly, your qualification in a way, right?
Yeah, so for context, the idea behind the Eisenhower method or the Eisenhower matrix is just like Bruno said, it's a way for you to um, determine what's like something that you have to do now, if something that you can schedule or plan for later, something that you can delegate to other people, or something that you shouldn't bother with at all. So the idea behind this is that you can um, qualify tasks or requests or stuff that just comes up on a daily basis. And the idea behind this template is to have an automatic way for you to just answer two simple questions, and then the template is going to tell you what you have to do with that task, and then show the relevant fields so you can keep on using the Kanban. So the idea here, I'm just going to run a quick example here so that it's a little bit more clear. This is the app. So like we said, there's four categories of tasks. There's something that you have to do yourself. There's something that you can plan or schedule for later. There's something that you can delegate to other people, and then there's stuff that you should just like trash it. You shouldn't be wasting resources or time on it at all. So the idea behind this is that you can create a task, or someone can submit a request to you. So let's say it's something like cancel the email account. So that's something that people are going to submit to you, or you're going to input here, and then I'm just gonna put in as description test. There's also an attachment field here, so you can submit files and so on. So let's click here, submit, and now we have the task here. So it at first it goes to triage. So the idea here is that you don't know yet what you have to do with this task. So we can click on it, open a side panel, and here's the information: cancel the email account, test, and so on. And so for triage, you have just two simple questions. Is this urgent? So there's an explanation here. Urgent tasks are things that have to be solved ASAP. So you can't do it later. You can say, I'm going to solve this by the end of the month. This should be done as quickly as possible. And then there's the second question, which is this important? And to the Eisenhower matrix, important is this something that you should do it yourself? So is it something that only you can solve? So all you have to do is answer those two simple questions. So let's see here, it's cancel the email account. So it's not urgent, okay? No. But it's important because I'm the only person that can do this. Maybe I'm the only one who has admin access to Google Workspace or Microsoft uh, uh, email account or something like this. So let's say that this is important. So by clicking on both of these options, here below you can see that it's categorized this as planned. So you have to do this, but not now. You can schedule this for later, and then there's a due date field. So you can say, oh, I'm going to solve this by the 19th or something like this. So let's run through the other options, right? So let's imagine that this is something that is not only important, but it's urgent. So I click on here and it says emergency. This is an emergency. You should do this now. So you can't schedule this for later. You shouldn't be postponing this. This is something that has to be done today. Let's go to the other one. This is urgent, but it's not important. So it's something that has to be solved today, but doesn't necessarily have to be you. So you can just click on no, and it's going to categorize this as an interruption. So you can delegate this to someone else. So this is urgent. You have to solve it today, but it doesn't have to be you. So you can just pass it on to someone else, so you can focus on other more important tasks. So you can delegate to some other user here on your account. And then there's the final category of tasks, which is something that is both not important and it's not urgent. So it's just going to say that this is trash, this is a time waster, trash this now. You don't have to focus on this now. And usually there's some people question it because it's often said, oh, but just because this isn't urgent and this isn't important, shouldn't we do this? And if this is something that really needs to be done, this is going to be submitted again, and then it's going to be categorized as something urgent or important. So you can trash it right now, and if it's really urgent or important, if it has to be done, someone is going to submit it at the proper time later. So the idea behind this, behind this template is this. So let's go back to this is not urgent, but it's important. Due date, I'm going to put in 19th. I'm going to save this.
One thing that's important to highlight as well is we build everything using conditionals, and we are not using here automations. Even though it's automatic, it's not an automation, so it doesn't even count as a run on your account. It's only like conditionals for the form, and also it's always a recommendation to customize the forms if it's for a smart canvas for the list view, or if it's a form, like just a form. It's interesting to customize it, because then you have a better way to use it, or a better result in the end, as you can see here with automations, and also with the different sectors that you have organizing your information and so on. So always remember, you can start with the standard uh, form for your smart Kanban or table and so on. However, it's important to invest a little bit of your time to just customize it. And we're going to show you a little bit of how to do this with conditionals, colors, different form blocks, and so on.
Exactly. So just going by the final features here of the template, you can see that there's a card here that is a little bit red. So we also have a color conditional here in which stuff that you should do right now, it's colored as red. You can also see here in the indicators is going to tell you how many tasks you have to do now, how many you have planned, and how many you have delegated. And as a final touch here, you can also see uh, tasks that are delegated. You can select the person you've delegated to. So if you say, "Oh, I want to see what Bruno has on their plate right now," so you can just click on here, select the user, and you can also select a date interval or a period of time, so you can see which schedule or plan task you have for that specific time frame. So for example, we have here three planned tasks, which are January 15, January 25, and let me see, January 19th. So we can see, let me see what we're going to do just next week. So we're going to select this, and it's going to show me those two cards. So this is basically the template. So like Bruno said, you could build this with automations, but we've built this entirely using conditionals, be them field conditionals or color conditioning. So let's enable builder mode. so we can actually show you guys how does this work. So first of all, if you have an app, if you have a Kanban, a board, if you have indicators, if you have forms, you have a table which holds the information they're seeing, right? So you have a form that feeds into that table. You have the Kanban seeing that table as a board view. So for this template, there's only one single table. There's one single database, which is I've called it Eisenhower tasks. Just let me load this and let's go to the table. So I'm not going to build this again. I'm just going to show you guys the structure that we've built, and then we're going to build the app itself. So here's the table. So those are all the tests that we had on the Kanban, on the board. So the idea here is that you have a title, a description, which is a rich text. You can see here that we can format this text. You have a files field, which I'm using for attachments. We have single option fields. Single option fields are list fields in which you can only select one single option, hence the name. So it's asking if this task is urgent, and another one that's asking if the task is important. You could add more options, but in this case, it doesn't make much sense to have anything besides yes and no. And then you have a user field, a single user field for the person you're delegating tasks to. You have a date field in which is the due date for the task when you have planned tasks, and you have a single option field which is the stage. So those are the columns in my Kanban board. And then we also have a button for deleting the record. So I can click on this, and then if I click on delete, it's going to delete the record. So the idea here is that if you have something that is both not urgent and not important, you can press this button to trash it. So this is the structure. Of course, we could have more information here. I could just click on here or here in new field, and then we could add more information. For example, we could have like little to-dos or tags. For example, something can be finance, marketing, or tech related. So you could spice it up a little bit. You could add more information to the template, but the idea here is to be really simple. So all you have to do is submit a title, a description, relevant files, and then you're going to triage, and then you're going to receive the judgment if it's something to do now, to plan, to delegate, or trash. So this is the structure. It's very simple. Like Bruno said, we could do this with automations, but you can see here that we don't have a single automation in this table. So everything is done through conditionals. So let's build the app. I'm going to go here on home and click on new app page. So let's think about what we had there. We had indicators, a Kanban board, we had a chart for the number of records that we created, that we received each day. We have a search filter, and then you have the submit form. So let's start with the indicators. So this is going to make it a little bit easier for us to understand the conditionals later on. So like I said before, we have one indicator for things you have to do now. So I'm going to name it do now. It's going to see the Eisenhower tasks table, and it's going to count the number of records in that table. And the trick here is that I'm going to add a filter, and I'm only going to count tasks that are urgent and important.
It's basically
So
a
this is my
count if, right? Like when you have a spreadsheet or something, you're adding a
exactly.
conditional to your formula.
Yeah, so this is a composite filter. It has two conditions, like a count if, like I said. So count the number of tests which are urgent equals yes, and important equals yes. So I'm going to save this. I'm going to attribute other color to this component. I'm going to save this. So here you go. We have one task that we have to do now. Before we proceed, I'm just going to name this app for later. So this is the first indicator. I'm going to clone this to duplicate it. So I'm going to click here. It's going to make it easier for me to do more stuff. So I want to have the same indicator, but for things that I have planned, right? So let's name it, and then we're going to just change the filters here. So things that are planned are things that are not urgent, but they are important. So I'm just going to change this filter here. So I'm going to save this, and I'm going to change the color as well. Forgot to do this. So there you go. This is a planned task. So we have 3 right now. And I'm going to duplicate this again. And now we're going to count the number of delegated tasks. So it's the same thing. I'm going to have a different color here. And all I have to do is change the filters. So delegated tasks are tasks that are urgent, but they're not important. They're not something that I have to do personally. So I'm going to save this. There you go. So we have all the 3 indicators that we wanted beforehand. So now I'm going to create a kanban, and I'm going to create a block smart kanban. So the component was created with demi data. So I'm just going to resize it and rearrange this. Okay, so this Kanban, I want to see information from the Eisenhower tasks. So I'm going to select this table. It's only going to be named Kanban. I don't need more information than that. And the field that is going to be defining the columns of the board is the field stage. So which fields do I want on the front face of the Kanban card, which is basically this, right? And you can see here that I have the title, I have the due date, and I have the person I've delegated to. So I'm just going to take out this information. There you go. And then I'm going to add a color condition. So we're going to paint red all the cards that are stuff that we have to do now. And once again, something that I have to do now is something that is both urgent. So is it urgent? Yes. And then something that is important. So this is also yes. And for now, we're going to do this. There you go. So it's looking just like the other one that we built before. All right, so there's just 2 more components, which is basically charts and the search filter. I want to have a little like productivity chart here so I can see how many tasks were created each day. And I'm going to resize it so it can fit here in the space that I left beforehand. So there you go. I'm going to finish resizing it. Here it is. Okay.
One possible
So this
automation
chart.
that you could do in your organization is when you delegate, it could go as a new card for the person that you delegate, right? So you could do this in a way in your organization that tasks just flow from one person to another, because when you're qualifying your tasks, basically you're qualifying for yourself. And the only thing that you could do when you delegate to someone else is send the task. You're not going to execute the tasks anyway. So either you're going to do later, you're going to do now, not going to do this, or someone else is going to do this. So if it's someone else, you could add an automation where this card will just go to this other person kanban, or even if it's just for the person to qualify the triage stage and so on, and they can send to another person and so on. So in that way, the task always goes to the correct person, and you don't lose anything, because sometimes you delegate and then it would be kind of weird if they were using your own kanban to execute the task. So you could do this for your team, and then maybe it's okay to do this in that way. But if you're doing a single user level of tasks, then it could be interesting to add this automation.
Exactly. So you could just duplicate the final app and have each person have their own app, and then it feeds into other campaigns and so on. So I'm just going to name this chart tasks per day. It's going to see the, it's going to be a simple bar chart, and it's going to see the Eisenhower tasks table. So the axis is going to be the creation date. The y-axis is going to be the number of records. I'm just going to call this tasks. I'm going to color it gray. And I don't want to have the legend, but I want to have the value, and let's save. So there you go. We have the chart. And now we can just finish this by going to the filter, and then we can create buttons. So the first one is delegated, which is going to allow us to search for a user, and it's going to filter the Kanban board by the person we've delegated this task to. So we're going to add this, and then the final button here is going to be the interval. We're going to select a date interval, a date range, and it's also going to filter the Kanban by the due date. So let's add this. Let's remove the border, create, and here you go. So this is the search filter. Right, so this is looking a lot like this part that we have here. So I'm just going to do something. I'm going to click here on customize colors, and I'm going to disable page scrolling. You're going to see why in a minute. But this makes it so people cannot go beyond a certain point. I'm trying to scroll to the bottom of the page, and I can't do this. The page has a fixed length. Okay, so we're almost done. But now there's one important thing, which is the forms. So the triage and the creation form. And so first of all, we're going to click on here, create block, and then we're going to create the form that we're going to use to triage the tasks. So here we go. So we're going to call this test triage. We're not going to put any description here. No logo, no image. I'm going to customize the title bar to black. And I'm going to press here. This means this form is going to be used to update something, in this case, the Eisenhower tests. So this form is going to be looking at the Eisenhower tests. Okay, so basically what we've defined here, what we've set up here is that I'm creating a form that I'm going to use to update a record. This is the form that's going to substitute the normal, the default window when you click on the card, right? So first things first, what I'm going to see here, I'm going to see the title, I want to see the description, I want to see the attachments, and then it's going to ask me if it's urgent, if it's important, and then based on my answers, it's going to show me the due date, or the delegate to field, or the trash it button. Okay, cool. So let's define some things first. Title, description, and attachments, I'm going to set them up as read-only. So once the task is created, I just want to try it. I don't want to change their title or their description. So it's read-only. Is this urgent? This is a question that it's going to be required. So I have to answer it during the triage phase. I'm going to change the way to view this as a button-like single option field. And I'm going to do the same thing for is this important? So here's the button like. Okay, let's save. And then if I wanted to just use it right now, I'm going to show you guys. So I'm not going to be able to use it right now because it's below the page scroll. But basically, what I have to do now is set up the blocks and conditionals. So I'm going to click here on form conditions, and I'm going to say that due date, delegate to, and trash it don't appear as on the default window, right? And then I'm going to add conditions for delegate to. Actually, due date, it's only going to appear when something is not urgent and also it is important. So I'm going to create those conditions, right? Delegate to is going to appear. It's going to be showed when something is urgent. So urgent, yes, but it's not important, which means in this context, something that is not important, it's something that I don't have to do personally. Someone else can take care of it. And finally, I'm going to show the trash it button when something is neither urgent nor is it important. So let's save. There you go. And now that we have the update form here, something that we can do is we can go back to this kanban, edit it, and then go right here on the bottom part of the settings. And for record update form, we can disable the default window. And now we can use the form that we've created, test triage. And we're going to put in opening right panel and show chat. So I'm going to save this. So what I did here is that now when I click on a task, it shows the information just the way I want it. So here's the title, here's the description, here's the attachment. This is read-only, and based on what I answer here, it's going to show different things on the bottom part of the screen. So you may have noticed that there's a couple of things missing. So we're going to do this with blocks, which are basically the descriptions that we had on the other one. So this one, you can see that we have more information here. So you can see that we have a section for this first part of the app. So let's come here and edit the selected form. And now what we're going to do is we're going to add a form block. So we're going to add a section, which we're going to call info, put in this description, and we're going to sandwich the information of title, description, and attachments with this section. We also had this section, which is triage, right? So we're going to do the same thing here. We're going to add another section with this description, with this title, and we're going to sandwich the information here. All right. So, and the last part is that you can see that depending on the things that I select, we have this block of text here. So we're going to add long text blocks. The first one is emergency, which is going to be this fireman. You have to do this now. So we have this block. Let's add another block for planned. And the description is you can do this later. Okay. We have something for delegate. Delegate, which I don't remember what I did. It's interruption, actually. Interruption. And I'm going to put in as you should delegate this. And finally, we have the trash text. You should trash this. Okay, so almost done. And now we can go here to the form conditionals and we can add them to our conditions. So due date and where is it? Here you go. And planned are going to appear when it's a planned task. Delegate to, it's going to show the delegate to field and also the interruption block. And we have trash it, the trash text, and then we have to create a separate condition, which is going to show the emergency field when something is both urgent and important. I'm going to save this. I'm just going to reorder some stuff. So emergency is the first one, planned, and then due date. This is going to set the order of the things that appear. So interruption and delegate to, and the trash text and trash it. So let's save. There you go. Let's click on save. And then when we click here, it looks a lot better than what we had before. So you can see that we have the dynamic text appearing here on the bottom part of the screen. So depending on what I put here, it's going to show different information. So we're nearly done. There are just two things that we have to do. We have to, first of all, create the record creation superform, which is this one. So for the sake of brevity, I'm not going to create a new one. This is just a web page with a superform with which creates data on the Eisenhower part, so title, description, and attachments. And now I'm going to show you guys how you can just condense all of this into a single app. So just let me refresh my screen. And to bring this all into a single app instead of separate app pages, what I'm going to do here is that I'm going to use the top bar here. So I'm going to click here on add page. I'm going to put in a black title bar with no logo. These are some aesthetic customizations for the top bar. And the thing that I'm going to see here on the top bar is this app page that I've just built and the create Eisenhower task form. And I can also say which parts of the platform the person seeing this will be able to use. So there you go. And just let's disable builder mode and see how it looks. So this is, once I disable builder mode, this is what the end user is going to be seeing, right? So it's the kanban that we've built with the conditionals that we've just defined, the charts, the indicators, the search filter, which they can use to see the information. They can click here to create a new task, which is going to show there. And when we click on something that we have to triage, you have this dynamic buttons that show me what I have to do with that task. So this is it, Bruno. I don't know if you want to go over any other stuff here.
No, perfect. As always, we will also make it available on our template store. So if you want to install and test it, try it, change it, use it, it will be there. And we will be back today with updates for with product updates. So we have a weekly live as well, showing the updates that we had in the product. And next week we'll come back with here with Fernando in another live, showing how to build, how to use a few of Gesture features. So if you have any kind of suggestions, just send us, and we'll do our best to bring all your ideas here and make it a reality. So thank you guys, and see you soon. Bye bye.